Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Kirloskar Oil Engines Limited Q1 FY22 earnings conference call, hosted by Antique Stock Broking Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Dhirendra Tiwari from Antique Stock Broking Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Antique Stock Broking, I welcome you to 1Q FY22 post-sale conference call of Kirloskar Oil Engines. To discuss results, I am glad to have with us today Mr. Sanjeev Nimkar, Managing Director, Mr. Pawan Agrawal, CFO of the company, along with other senior members of the management team. Now I'll hand over the call to Mr. Nimkar for initial remarks, following which we can take the question and answer. Over to you, Sanjeev. Thank you.
Dhirendra, thanks. I'll do the opening remark. This is Pawan Agrawal, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of the company. On behalf of the management of Kirloskar Oil Engines Limited, I welcome you to this conference call pertaining to the results for the quarter ended 30 June 2021. Present with me on this call are our Managing Director, Mr. Sanjeev Nimkar, Rahul Prabhudesai, who heads the strategy function at KOEL, Mr. Amit Gupta, the Deputy CFO of Arka Fincap Limited, the subsidiary engaged in the financial services business, and Ms. Mayura Bhusari, who leads the investor relations at Kirloskar Group. We hope you and your families are staying safe and healthy in these challenging times. We wish to start by qualifying that during the call we may make some forward-looking statements, and these statements are considering the business environment we see as of today, and therefore there could be risks and uncertainties that could cause actual results to vary materially from what we are discussing on the call, and we would not always be able to update on these forward-looking statements. Q1 FY22 saw a devastating second wave of COVID-19, which had a huge impact on our lives and health of our near and dear ones. The operating environment has been extremely challenging in this period, but since the lockdowns were more localized and staggered, the business impact was lower this time around. Once again, our entire team stepped up beyond their call of duty and delivered a strong performance. We want to thank each and every member of the KOEL family for their unstinting dedication and commitment during these difficult times. Q1 FY22 performance is a testament to the resilience of the organization. With continued focus on productivity and efficiency enhancement, we were able to counter very high commodity inflation and protect our margins to some extent. We remain committed to drive cost reduction and operational excellence at KOEL. Our operations and supply chain teams have done an excellent job of meeting the challenges and ensuring a smooth supply of products in spite of mobility restrictions during the quarter. We are pleased with our performance during the quarter, especially when one considers the challenges one had to operate in given the second wave. While large part of the quarter was disrupted owing to the second wave of COVID, we did see things improving by the end of the quarter following relaxation of restrictions in the light of ebbing of second wave. The recovery in the month of June led us to post a decent set of numbers for Q1, even in these times of adversity. Volumes during the quarter were understandably low compared to the preceding quarter, given the impact of second wave of pandemic. Also, the EBITDA margin declined sequentially owing to lower sales and higher input prices. As indicated in the earlier calls, the prices of most of the input materials, namely steel, copper, aluminium, etc., have been trending upwards over the past few months, in turn impacting the margins. Furthermore, lower capacity utilization levels during the quarter also contributed to the EBITDA margin compression. Overall, the company is continuing to focus on strengthening the Kirloskar brand, building scale, expanding distribution and product range, driving innovation and digitization, and strengthening the organizational capabilities at all levels. We believe this will help us drive strong growth across all our business verticals and capture the opportunities in the marketplace while we build the organization for the future. Going ahead, we remain positive on the business outlook and believe the growth in housing, healthcare, industrial, and infrastructure sectors provides a good visibility in terms of demand for our products. Now I come to the financial performance of the company. Our first quarter standalone sales at 639 crore was 103% higher compared to sales of 315 crore for the same year in the previous financial year. All business divisions except large engine, what we call IPS, have delivered significant growth on a year-on-year basis. The outlook for the large engine business for the remaining part of the financial year is positive on the back of a good order book position. Our export sales in the quarter increased to 58 crore compared to 46 crore in quarter one of last financial year, though as a percentage to sales, it declined from 15% to 9%. Good growth in demand was visible in power generation and agriculture segment in international markets. The extended credit period enjoyed by the company from many of its suppliers, vendors and service providers during the second half of the last financial year has gone back to standard credit periods in quarter one. Also due to COVID-led restrictions at various places and disruptions at some of our suppliers and customer locations and in anticipation of potential third wave, we have built a little extra inventories in quarter one to ensure minimal business disruptions. This has led to an additional investment in working capital during the quarter, but this is only a temporary phenomenon and going forward we do not see major issues on the working capital side. During the quarter, the company has further invested rupees 50 crore towards share capital, which includes share premium also, in its 100% subsidiary Arka Fincap Limited. At a consolidated level, sales improved by 95% from 415 crore in quarter one of last year to almost 810 crore in quarter one of FY22. The EBITDA for the quarter was 83.5 crore as against approximately 11 crore in the same period previous financial year. PAT for the quarter for the group was a little over 32 crore rupees compared to a loss of approximately 7 crore in quarter one of the previous financial year. At the segment level during quarter one, all the segments delivered growth in revenue on a year-on-year basis. The electric pump segment grew by more than 68%. Other segment, which includes farm mechanization and tractor spare parts and oil business, grew by 19%. And the engine segment saw more than 112% growth on a year-on-year basis. That's all on the financial side. With this summary, we may now commence the question and answer session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The first question is from the line of Renu Baid from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, Renu. Good evening.
Yeah, so I have 3 questions. The first question, I'll come on the operating margin side. Clearly, as a gross margin, we have seen almost 400 basis point compression. So if you can help us highlight this QOQ compression in gross margins as a combination of sales mix commodities, and to compensate for this, what is the kind of price actions we are taking, and how should we look at the outlook of margins reverting back to, at least the gross margins reverting back to 35% levels?
Hi Renu, this is Pawan Agrawal. Thanks for your question. Yes, there has been a severe impact because of the input prices increase, as I mentioned in my opening remark. Roughly about 2.5% impact is because of the input cost increase, which we could not pass on to the customers in the marketplace in quarter one. And probably, it will get partly recovered in July and August because there is always a timing difference. And about 1% impact is because of, a little less than 1% impact is because of the mix change. Now, going forward also, we expect, because the input prices are not coming down to the levels of the last year, still, either they are flat or they are increasing. In some of the cases, it is increasing. We expect about 1% impact could be there in quarter 2 as well. Of course, it is subject to many factors. But as of now, the visibility that we have, it appears that about a 1 percentage point impact could be there in quarter 2.
Sure. Secondly, on the domestic PG market, you did mention that recovery seems to be setting in back from June onwards. So if you can help us give some color within the power gen portfolio, how is the performance for HHP and ultra high HP engines? And how is the demand outlook? Are we now looking at the market getting back to normal? And in general, by when do you expect the demand momentum to come back to pre-COVID levels and start inching northwards?
Yeah, Renu, this is Sanjeev Nimkar here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to all who have joined on this call. I take this question. Power generation demand, right from April, we had seen this year a very good demand. So it started actually from the month of January itself. So January, that quarter was also good. And subsequent quarter, in spite of this May debacle, overall order booking and the demand was good. So it is continuing in that way. In fact, the COVID-related opportunities which are erupted in the market, like oxygen plants coming up very sharply, very high investments happening on that front. COVID hospitals again coming back, because there was a time that COVID hospitals had come and then dismantled all. But again, they are coming back because people are anticipating some disruptions of wave 3 or something. But preparation is much better, that is visible, and that is helping the PG business. So, coming to your question, is it looking normalcy in PG? We are sensing the normalcy in PG. Even the inquiry bank is moving reasonably good on the power generation side. And again, little bit touching to your earlier question on the price front. Yes, there is a gap of when the commodity prices go up at a back-end side and how much time we can pass on, because we have continuous quotations and order board of 1.5 months kind of thing. So it takes time to pass on to that, but it will eventually happen, and there will be marginal impact in this quarter, and maybe we will cover up going forward in the next quarter on the price front. But happy to report here that as a leader in the segments, like whether it is power generation or even in the industrial engine side or even in the electric pump side, we took lead in leading the prices also in the market. We were the first to push the prices up, because we felt unless the leaders take these actions, the industry will not move ahead. And happy to inform that overall industry in all segments, with a little bit plus minus, has responded positively to push the prices up in the market. Yeah.
Sure. And lastly, sir, when we look at the broad base in industrial equipment demand, your comments on construction and acceptability of BS4 range of products has been very encouraging. So how should one look at this pie improving going ahead, given that infrastructure activities are picking up? So comments on this would be helpful.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Despite of this second wave and whatever we have gone through last 1 year, overall government efforts on the infra we are seeing are sustainable. We are not seeing they have increased beyond a level, but they are sustained. So that also is a positive thing. So, and that is helping on our industrial engine side. In fact, what has happened in this domain, it's one need to understand this, that the pre-buy has happened in the month of February and March. And there was, and this time in the emission changes, the government had given almost 6 months of window to sell out the old engines. As long as they are not produced, you can sell it. Incidentally, the first 2-3 months, that is April, May, and by mid of June, all those earlier engines vanished from the market, and the demand for BS4 increased. So that is a very positive movement in this industry, and that demand continues to be good. And our products are well accepted in this market. So on the industrial engines front, our outlook for this quarter and going forward till the end of the year is on positive. We will be on our targets and on our plan. So that's how. In fact, in this domain, even the tractor market is also doing very well. So that demand also continues to be good. So that's a positive story out there.
Sure. Thank you much, sir, and I'll come back with more questions. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Sandeep Tulsian from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, very good evening, sir.
Good evening, Sandeep.
So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. I'm going to be critical to the performance, so please bear with me. Firstly, on the power gen side, so I noticed the performance was much weaker versus our competitor. We have declined in a much sharper way. So have we ceded some market share, or has competition become more aggressive in terms of giving price discounts? If you can share some more color on that, please.
Sandeep, what data point are you referring to? Is it a published report or something you are referring to?
No, sir. It is basically the market leader has also reported their results for first quarter, where their power gen segment decline on a sequential basis was almost flattish. It was not much of a decline, while we have reported a very sharp decline of about 25% in the power gen business on a sequential basis.
Okay. On a sequential basis you are talking about, because we had a tough time in the month of May only, but after that in the month of June and even going forward in July, we have recovered reasonably. I'm not too sure. I will be looking into the depth of whether we have lost some share. It is momentarily impact can come, because in the month of June also we pushed up prices in the market. We took the lead to push the prices in the market. So whenever it has happened in the past also, that whenever we push the price, it 2 months, 3 months time, there is a hiccup in terms of our sales. And again, eventually it comes back. So that's what we have observed. So there may be a momentary blip, but if you ask me, I'm not worried and perturbed on power generation at this point.
Okay. But there is no big disruption in terms of aggressive discounting by...
Sandeep, our order board on the medium horsepower engines is reasonably. I'm not able to supply actually. To that extent, it has gone up.
Okay. Understood. And second question was on this new opportunity slide that you have shared in the presentation. Actually, sir, we have been speaking of 2-3 different business areas. Like we have been speaking in the previous calls about bio-waste management solutions, the transformers in railways, and now we are talking about some battery-based backup. So it gives an impression that there are too many areas where the management. So, and amongst these 5-6 areas which you mentioned, what would be the top focus areas, and if you can share the opportunity size between water solutions, bio-waste, battery-based backup, and other things?
Yeah. Okay. First is water solutions as a segment. We are highly focused. So there is no question. So this domain has already crossed 1,000 crore plus for us. So it is a definitive focus area for the organization. In fact, in water solutions, we are going into the allied domain. So our acquisition of Optica, which we reported last time, that is into this domain of allied products, that is flat cables, column pipes, and similar domains we are getting into. So that domain, our focus will continue. Coming to the next, bio-waste, what we reported last time, and this is the month we will be launching these products. So we are ready with all, everything, whatever was required to be done. And we were waiting for our new brand refresh campaign, so which has happened now. So this month you will see this product going to the market. This product is going to the market with 2 perspectives. One, there is a huge synergy with our power generation channel and the way the buying process as well as the selling process. So there is a huge synergy there. And the product also looks similar. Look and feel of the product is exactly similar in all respects. And it is a green product, so it will go to the market. margin front, this product should be reasonably in sync with power generation or slightly ahead of power generation kind of a margin. So that's the reason why we will be there. The size of the market down the line 3-4 years touching 100 crores in that segment, very much possible. Initially, it may start a little slow because it's the concept selling. Our country has not yet migrated to that level, but lot of government initiatives are very supportive in that direction. A lot of municipal corporation bodies are already taking decisions that big societies should manage their waste on their own, and that's where we come into the picture and we give the solutions to the societies, and this is a completely green solution. So that's on bio-waste. Transformer, I think 2 quarters back, I had clarified in the similar call, the transformer is only kind of a balancing approach from our side. It is not for the open market we are looking at. We are only looking at on the railways opportunity, and that too because the power car opportunity has gone down and transformer is going up in railways. So that's the limited play we will have on the transformer side. And backup power side is only for providing the hybrid solutions in that domain, and not beyond that.
Understood.
So these are basically to feed the customer requirements.
Okay, understood. And last question, if I may, on the recent Supreme Court order which came regarding to the electric pumps acquisition of KOEL, if you would like to share, what are the steps forward from here on?
See, I think I don't think this matter is in this call, because as far as KOEL is concerned, we have clarified multiple times that this is a personal level matter and not the. Of course, someone is trying to bring us into that thing, but from all the perspectives, it looks like it is not going to impact our fortune and future, because we are marketing these products in a completely different brand name. So it's not going to interfere to each other. It's completely non-conflict area.
Okay. And one more thing on the electric pump.
I missed out on that. We will be aggressively looking for motor as a domain, because that goes in sync with our water management solutions. We are already mastered the art of handling the motors. So we may be introducing now the induction motor standalone to the market. And we see that as a big opportunity for us.
Okay. What is the size they're looking for here, sir, over the next 2 to 3 years?
On the motor segment?
Yes, sir.
Motor segment, post our launching in 2 to 3 years, at least it will reach 100-150 crores in motors. But eventually, it should look at 500-700 crores down the line, few years, 5-7 years. We will be aggressively expanding things in motor domain.
Got it. And just one more point was there on the KOEL electric pumps business, which is very much standalone entity. If we do the electric pump minus LGM sales, there is a very sharp jump. It has gone from 50 crore to 150 crore sequentially. So is that number correct? And if you can share what is driving this huge jump in first quarter?
You are looking at segment revenue, Sandeep?
So the segmental revenue of electric pumps less LGM revenue, what we share in the call, there is a very sharp jump on a sequential basis. If you can share the numbers and what is driving this jump.
So on electric pump segmental revenue, 30th June versus 31st March, KOEL has done 42 crore in June quarter, and sequentially last quarter was 49 crore. LGM has done 145 crore in the current quarter. Last quarter was 156 crore, and then there are certain intercompany reconciliation items. So overall, in electric pump segment revenue that we have reported, 175 crore for June quarter, and March quarter was 187 crore.
Okay. Probably I'll just take that offline. Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Rohan, retail investor. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. So my question is regarding the news that came up about the patent that we filed along with IIT Delhi. So are we allowed to comment on that right now? It's not in the nascent stage.
Yeah. It is in the nascent stage, but that's a hydrogen engine which is developed. So hydrogen technology is a futuristic technology, and we are looking at that domain as a alternate to diesel-based engines.
Okay. And so, like, are there any chances or like for a scrappage policy in our domain also, as we are we also have old engines and diesel engines together? So
No. Can you repeat this question, please?
so like do we we have an automobile scrappage policy that came out recently and which is in
No. Actually, in our industry, that policy doesn't exist. But we are suggesting government time and again that the time is up that we should have such policy in power generation and even industrial engines. We should, but it doesn't exist at the moment.
Okay. And final question from me, sir. So, do we, for the commodity that we use, so do we in any way like hedge it or?
No, we don't play with the hedging at the moment in whatever businesses we are doing. So we don't do that.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Bhagyesh Kagalkar from HDFC Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Coming to the PPT, okay, you mentioned about Kirloskar Americas Corporation. The sales are currently quite small, and you're selling more of agri, followed by junk sets and air food. So now the assumption in India is that since all of you are going for CPCB 4+, it is quite close to the developed world norm. So the exports will be easier. What's your view, sir? And once again, the word of CPCB 4+. What is the deadline that you are hearing, and the supply chain at your end for CPCB 4+? How geared it is?
Yeah, I think 3 questions and all pertinent questions. Thanks for that. CPCB 4+, different bodies are working right now for the notification. KOEL is also participant in that work forum. So our anticipation is 2 months down the line the notification should be out, but that's again a guesswork there. If that happens, we expect by October 22 CPCB 4+ can be reality. But looking at current semiconductor market, you touched that question very, very aptly. Because in CPCB 4+ domain, the solutions which all the competitors or all the players in this industry will be offering will have a large bearing on the semiconductors. Usage of lot many semiconductor-based products like ECUs and things like that.
Yes.
And currently, the whole semiconductor global market is in complete disarray. And we anticipate that if this is insisted within that 1 year's window, probably the industry will be constrained. So now, till yesterday, we were thinking 1 year window is good enough and we should go for it. But as today morning, looking at the current situation, I'm just giving an analogy. Looks like if 1.5 years government gives, that will be better for that as far as supply chain is concerned. Coming to your first question on the opportunities in US and Europe, yes, with CPCB 4+ and now BS4, we have migrated to an industrial engines. Very near time frame, we can see BS5 also will be going by 2023 or 24. Will be at BS5. So opportunity to export engines or the solutions from India to developed world will be far more achievable for us. And as far as we are concerned, last 4 years we are actively working on adhering to emission norms required for USA. So we are crossing one by one milestones there. They are called EPA norms. So we are right now working on EPA Tier 4 final. So another 2 quarters will be there. Once that happens, our products largely can be sold in US market, standalone US market. Right now, whatever you are seeing, these agri-related movements happening there are not per se in US, but in Latin America and nearby countries. So that momentum is reasonably good. But yes, going forward, the US and surrounding opportunity will be better, and our ability to service that will also be better.
Okay. And just one question on the industrial engine side. So there's a talk of that MNCs are opening up further facilities in India to manufacture the products. Does an Indian company like ours have a good chance of winning those contracts from any Japanese or any other MNC, which produces dumpers or excavators or bulldozers, further wins, I'm saying further wins?
Only for engines you are talking about?
Yeah, industrial engines.
Yeah. So I think you are on that side also you are right. We have a chance there. We are in fact in touch with some of the global OEMs for that perspective. And if everything falls in place, you will hear something on that. But there is definitive possibility because the way we have migrated upside on the emission norms and our capability in terms of robust supply chain. So the lot of developed world big OEMs have observed that we are a good option to China and good option to they themselves in their own country. So having noticed that there is a good possibility in next 3 to 5 years horizon that many such OEMs will be here, and even we have that opportunity window open.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, everyone, and all the best from my side. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sandeep Tulsian from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yes, I had a couple of data point requests. If you can share the DV series volume and value data that you share every quarter, please.
Yeah, just a moment. I'll give it to you. Give me a second, Sandeep.
Sure.
The ultra high horsepower 750 kV and above, we sold 39 units in quarter one FY22, value roughly about 15 crore, and in last year quarter one the number was 11, quantity was 11, and the value was about close to 4 crore rupees.
Okay. And the other one, basically that's 400 to 625 kV one?
Just a moment. So that is 320 to 625 kV.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is quarter one FY22, 218 units, and the value is 32 crore rupees. And similar number for quarter one last year, the units are 50, and the value is 7.7 crore rupees.
Got it. And also in the industrial segment, if you can share whatever proportion of sales or growth rates between industrial engines and tractors separately.
Sure. So industrial quarter one this year we have done 125 crore total. Out of that, 44 was tractor, and other off-highway and other businesses 81 crore rupees this year.
Was it? Sorry, so what would be the comparable number for these?
Comparable number for last year would be tractor was quarter one last year was 22 crore rupees, and other segments within industrial was 42 crore rupees. Total 64 crore.
Got it. All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sandeep.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sanjay Satpathy from Ampersand. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. If I can just ask this question relating to your investment in NBFC, is there some kind of a limit of how much equity you will contribute to this venture?
Yeah, thanks for this question. We have indicated earlier also that the board has indicated or agreed for 1,000 crore rupees of investment at this stage, initial stage, and whatever equity contributions you are seeing, it is in that direction only.
Okay, so total cumulatively, Kirloskar Oil will give 1,000 crore to that NBFC.
Yes, over a period of time. Out of that, till 30th June, we have already invested 701 crore rupees. So roughly 300 crore further commitment is there.
Understood. So the question that I just wanted to, I think some other people have already discussed that, but I just wanted to kind of clarify this new brand initiative which you have taken and all this controversy which is there, litigations which are coming out in the newspaper as well as in Supreme Court. How are you going to deal with it, and will that have any kind of influence on your business or not?
No, I think even in the public media there is a lot of clarity given already. First thing, this our brand refresh, whatever we have done for this group companies, is a clearly independent activity that anyone can refresh the brand the way they want, and it has gone into that domain. So that's one point. We felt it was long due, and the whole market has appreciated that. We have received so many comments and appreciation from various sectors of investors, society, customers, suppliers, all across. So we felt this is a very positive move which organization has done. Coming to the conflicting matter, so that conflicting things at personal level are happening for last 6, 7, 8 years, and it has not impacted the business at all. And going forward with new refresh brand available with the Coel or other group organizations, in our assessment, our position will be on a better side than what it was yesterday.
But talking about products like pumps and motors, there are overlaps, and that is where the dispute has arisen. You don't think that will have any kind of implication for these two products?
See, I don't go into what is the personal conflict. What we market right now are the pumps which are completely different brand. So, and that continues.
And so last question that I just wanted to ask with you is that your agriculture engine, which one goes for tractor to erstwhile Punjab tractor, and so how that segment is really doing, in the sense that the long-term agreement, and how do you see that part of the business kind of expanding going forward?
In fact,
and are you worried about the cyclicality?
See, cyclicity of that business is always going to be there. Tractor as a country as a whole, tractor market is cyclic. 3 years up, 1 year down will always continue. In fact, last 4-5 years that cyclicity is not seen. We are only seeing the tractor market only going up. But as a player in the industry for a long-term basis, we are aware that there will be a year coming any time which will take this little down, and then again it will go up. So that happens. Coming to specifically on the Punjab tractor and thing, it is a very strong mutual relationship which is going on. So because it helps them for de-risking their own sources of engines or whatever way, we are reasonably competitive and our quality of product is excellent. Acceptance in the market is also good. So it's a mutually convenience way of working, and it is going very strong. So in fact, last few quarters this business is growing up.
So if I ask it the other way, that overall your market share of your tractor engine, for the country as a whole, can it go up from where it is, and how will it happen?
Yeah, so that's the question. See, we have, unfortunately what has happened, the top players who hold a good market share in the country, are most of them are having their own sources or their own production hubs. So I do not see some of them coming to us. Of course, our relationship with PTL will continue, but the other 2, 3, 4 number players. But other than that, there are 4 or 5 players with whom we are dealing for last 4, 5 years. That numbers are going up, but their market share is not till date has not improved significantly, but they are gaining share. So that's the story. So in this tractor domain, we do have good solutions with us. Some of our players are taking engines from us and exporting out of India to some other markets. But that numbers are growing, but not very big numbers. That is how it is.
If I can just ask, relating to that, between engine categories, will you then say that over the next 3-5 years, it is the industrial engine which will probably be the best, will have the best prospect, or which segment really from next 3-4 year point of view, between power gen and then tractor and industrial, which one really are you most excited about?
See, power generation will continue to be an exciting segment for us. There is no doubt in my mind. The reason being, in ultra high horsepower, last year we grew by 50% in a pandemic year. This year our growth story continues. We will be launching some products in that segment in 1250, 1500, 2 quarters down the line, because we are very close to the final things now. These pilots are already done. Not pilots, the protos are already done. Very shortly we will get into pilot mode. So that will continue. And country as a whole, if our economy is going to grow, power generation will be providing a good opportunities. One. Second, the infrastructure is going to give good impetus into the industrial. Not only that, the emission changes which has happened, that is also taking the market significantly up in terms of size of the market itself. For example, CPCB 4+ transition will make the power generation pie grow up by 20-25% kind of overnight kind of thing. So BS4 and some more emission norms coming in now, that will also increase the industry size and obviously the size of the total profits available in the industry. That will also go up.
Okay. Okay. So the reason why I was asking is that on one end, power generation, there are concerns that with electricity becoming available 24/7, there is a headwind there. And similarly, on the tractor engine side, you have upside the cap in terms of market share. So whereas in the industrial, probably you don't have any of these concerns. So that is why you might be a lot more, you might be seeing a much better growth prospect there. So I'm just asking from that.
No. I would like to correct your first statement, and it will be good for all the investors on this call or all the analysts on this call. Is that the power availability in the country, rather it is directly proportional to our business of power generation. We are in a backup power business. Kindly note this point. We are not in a prime power business. We are in a backup power business. That means what? The more and more the power availability in the country goes up, our business also goes up. It is directly linked with, because and power utilization going up in the country is a sign of growing economy. If the economy is growing, new projects are coming up, my power generation business goes up. So that's the way to look at it. So no longer my power generation business is linked with the electricity now.
Understood.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bhavin Vithlani from SBI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Sanjeev. Thank you for the opportunity. I have just one question from my side. This is on tillers, and the size of the market is a fraction of the tractor market, whereas our country has a very large proportion of small and marginal fields. So the question is, as an industry, what are the efforts that we are taking so that and because you had mentioned that the inefficiencies have been corrected for, to see that the absolute size of the tiller industry grows?
You have touched a very important question actually. Yes, you are right. From the farm mechanization, total market size versus the tiller as a percentage of that is very small. You are right. We are also looking at, last time I mentioned this, that there is a widder segment in that. So last 18 months we have done a significant inroads in widder market. Even tillers we are doing reasonably okay. But we are actively looking at related spaces specifically for the small and marginalized farmers. So we are working some solutions on that. So I cannot reveal right now, but we are working on some solutions on that.
Sure. So as an industry, is there a probability that you see that given that 65% of India's farmland is small and marginal, the tiller industry can actually show exponential growth? Because actually the effort has to be industry-wide rather than a single player.
I agree with you on the effort side, but not on the exponential growth side. Unfortunately, last 5-6 years, if you look at it, tiller markets have remained almost like stagnant. Going forward, I can see a growth in the market, but not very significantly growing, because somehow there is a psychological barrier in the minds of the buyer. When he buys the tractor, that's like a big possession for that individual. Whereas when he buys the tiller, it doesn't go into that domain. That may be one of the hurdle, but for the application per se, a small tractor and a tiller almost exactly the same application, and tiller at a much half the cost or even 1/3 of the tractor cost, they can get the same work done. But there may be psychological barriers.
Sure. Yeah, that was the question I had. Thank you so much for taking my question.
Yep.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Shah from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So my question was more on the new business ventures or the new business areas that we have recently ventured into, the wastewater or the biomass and the overall core business. So how do we see this revenue mix changing over, say, next 3 to 5 years? What is the current mix and how does it move going ahead? And what sort of margins do we enjoy in this new business areas as compared to the core business margins? Are they inferior, superior, or if you can throw some light on the color of margins that we enjoy currently, sir?
First thing is, as I mentioned some time back, that water solution business will continue to grow, and it will take the percentage of engine-based business versus water solution-based business. The engine business will continue to grow, but the percentage of that business will keep on falling down and water business will go up. Coming to your bio-waste related business, and margins in that business is also, I will say, comparable with engine business, if not better. We will try to see that the water solution business margins are comparable with the current margins. So we will not be deteriorating margins, but we will be entering into industry which is growing continuously and not so much dependent on whether fossil fuel or any other barriers. It is not dependent on that. So it is highly growing and a better industry. Profit margins will be almost on a similar line. Today they are not, but we will be very close. Very soon we will be closer to that. Coming to bio-waste side, margin side, it will be better, but the size of the market, we will have to put a lot of efforts to keep on expanding, because that's newer horizons. In fact, the government policies per se will be quite helpful in that domain, encouraging societies, encouraging commercial spaces to opt for those kind of solutions. But it will be a market development activity, but the margins will remain on a better side, specifically on the bio-waste side.
Sir, what would be the current mix in revenue terms? Is there any number that we can currently give, and what sort of mix do we expect few years down the line? Is there any particular target that we have internally set for ourselves?
On a thumb rule basis, if you ask me 5 years down the line, I won't be surprised my engine-based businesses will be 60% of the company's turnover and 40% will be other businesses.
Okay. Okay. And sir, with regards to the CPCB 4 norms implementation, this was supposed to happen, I think, in April 22. So, any updates on those, and what sort of price increase do we anticipate if those gets implemented by April 22? Sir?
I think I touched this point some time back. April 22 is definitively no possibility because the notification itself is not out right now. We can see earliest possibility is October 22, and that too subject. And I said there is a supply chain is broken now on semiconductor side, so that becomes a significant constraint there. Coming to the price rise, anywhere it can be from 30 to 40%. Jump is possible there, depending upon how the market will settle down.
And sir, what is the capability of the market to accept this price hikes, or do we anticipate any pressure on the margins because we won't be able to pass on this price hikes? If you can throw some color on those things.
I think this is a very, very good question. Look at this way. For some product ranges like lower QAs, 15 QA, 20 QA, 30 QA, where customers may have some alternates available. So that range, there may be pressure on from the customer side to look at some alternates. That can be one thing. But the moment you cross 30 QA and above, then the available solutions to the customer, which are reasonably priced solutions, are not much. And these products are going into majorly in a new projects. Someone is coming out with a new hospital or new 5-star hotel or some new complex, residential building, anything. When that happens, people will be generally, suppose today in a project of 50 crores, someone is budgeting, let's say, 15 lakh rupees for a genset. Tomorrow they will be budgeting 17 or 18 lakhs for the genset or 20 lakhs for the genset. That's the change which is going to happen, because majority of the customers of 30 KV and above generally do not fund from available reserves or individual pockets. So this project funding happens. So I do not anticipate much of a problem in terms of passing the prices, because power needs to be backed up. So there is no alternate for the customer not to back the power. And since this is a project funding, so at the time of funding itself, the provision will happen, and I don't anticipate much of a constraint or challenge on that side.
And so one last question from my side with regards to the data center market, sir. I think that is one of the fastest growing market in India as well as globally. What is our presence in that particular market, and if you can throw some color with regards to the kind of revenue generation that is happening from the data center side, sir?
You are absolutely right. Data center market in India is growing, last 2-3 years growing very fast, and next 4-5 years also is anticipated to do reasonably well. One significant change has happened in this market is earlier, like 4-5 years back, this market was dominated with 750 to 2000 kind of product range significantly. Now, over last 2 years, we are seeing this range has moved from, let's say, majorly from 1.5 to above kind of thing. So that's a change in the market which has happened. We are playing a role in data center right now, but a very small role because limitation of the range. But the moment we have our 1.5 megawatt solution available, our presence in this market will significantly go up. Right now, we are a marginal player in data centers.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you very much for answering my question.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Dhirendra Tiwari for closing comments.
Thank you, operator. Thank you, Mr. Nimkar, Mr. Agrawal, and members of management team and participants. Before we close the call, any final comments, management, Mr. Agrawal, would you like to make?
Thanks, Dhirendra. Thank you all for your participation in this conference call. Appreciate your time and interest in us. Have a nice evening and a good weekend ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Antique Stock Broking Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect.
Thank you.
Thank you.